Okay.
I love you.
Seal it up, throw it out the window now.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today is a really exciting video because it is my 1-year update of using the Daysy. And if you don't know what the Daysy is, it is this little device that I use for my all-natural hormone-free birth control method. I made a video all about this Daysy and my experience back in March. I'd been using the Daysy for 7 months back then. So if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend watching that first. I'll link it down below and I'll put a link right here if you want to go watch it. In that video, I go into depth about all of the birth control methods I've used, my experience with them, why I switched to the Daysy, and kind of how the Daysy works and how it was the first couple months I was using it. That original video kind of blew up on my channel. It definitely has the most views out of all my videos. I think it's a little over 80,000 at this point. So with all those views came a lot of comments, questions, and concerns. So I figured it'd be good for me to make an updated video, go over all the most common questions I got, and just kind of help you guys out. And another thing I want to mention is that this video is not in any way sponsored. I bought the Daysy with my own money. The last video was not in any way sponsored. I just had such a great experience with it that I wanted to share it to help some of you out. So this is all my honest opinion. And like I did in the last video, I want to make another disclaimer that if you are on a different birth control method than what I'm using, which is the natural family planning or fertility awareness method, not the rhythm method, but if you are on a different birth control method, if you're on the pill, IUD, whatever method you're using, if it works for you, that is great. I am not sharing this information to force anybody to do anything. I'm just sharing this because it has changed my life so much, and in my experience, this has been the absolute best method for me. So if this isn't right for you, then you take this information and do what you want with it. I'm just here to share because I think it's important that we know all of our birth control options as women and that we have the power over our bodies to make the decision that's best for us. So with all that said, I'm excited to go over some of these questions and give you guys some answers. So I went over how the Daysy works in my last video, but I'm just gonna briefly kind of go over it again. So what it does is it takes your temperature, take off the cap, take your temperature under your tongue, you press it once to turn it on, press it again to start calculating to take your temperature. You have to do it first thing in the morning, right when you wake up, before you check your phone, sit up. Like you wake up and you think, I need to take my temperature, take it right then. Once it takes your temperature, it'll give you a green light, red light, or a yellow light. Green light means you're infertile, red light means you're fertile, and yellow means the Daysy is still calculating your system. So the Daysy works off of your basal body temperature. I think I'm saying it right. So your BBT. So the reason this works is because when you're ovulating, the hormone progesterone will rise, and so will your temperature, and it will remain there for a while, and then when you're right before your period, progesterone will lower and your basal body temperature will also lower. But if you were to be pregnant, your progesterone wouldn't come down and neither would your temperature. So your basal body temperature is your temperature when your body's at complete rest. So that's why it's important to take it first thing in the morning before you get active. Oh yeah, before you like sit up, before you sit on your phone, before you just sit there awake in bed. First thing in the morning. So the Daysy is 99.4% accurate, and I had some confusion on my last video. So I emailed this Ask an Expert. So in Daysy's app, they have a feature where you can ask an expert right there, and you click on it and it lets you email an expert. So in my email, I asked about the accuracy and kind of just like more of what that entailed. And the email I got back says, Daysy is 99.4% effective at telling you when you're no longer fertile. Daysy will always remain red until she's 99.4% certain the ovulation has come and gone, when you are then infertile leading up to your next menstruation. This page on our website may be helpful in explaining it further, and she sent me a link to the page, which I'll also link down below, that goes into depth more on the 99.4% accuracy effectiveness. Now that we have all that out of the way, I'm gonna go over the frequently asked questions I got asked the most, and I have a bunch of notes on it because there's quite a few. The first question I got asked kind of frequently is if this method will work for someone who has irregular periods. And Daysy has frequently asked questions on their website, and that's one of them. And on Daysy's website, it says, yes, Daysy has been developed to safely recognize cycles that range between 19 and 40 days. However, using Daysy with extreme fluctuations would lead to a higher number of red and yellow days. Fluctuations of up to several days are no problem for Daysy. If you have questions about your unique cycle, please reach out to our team of experts. So that's the answer they give. Another question I get asked is the symptoms I had coming off of hormonal birth control, which the last one I was on was the next one on arm chip. I don't remember having any significant symptoms. I think I remember being a little bit emotional or maybe having a little bit of anxiety, but it didn't last very long. So yeah, not too many symptoms, but everybody's different. So you might have more symptoms than me, you might have no symptoms at all. Next, is this the only form of birth control I use? And do we use condoms on green days? So this is sort of the only birth control I use. We do use condoms on red days and yellow days. We personally don't use them on green days, but we are in a monogamous, committed relationship, so there is no risk of STDs. This was another question I kind of wanted to do the ask an expert thing on, so I did. I sent an email. So in my email, I asked if it was okay to not be using any form of contraception barrier forms on green days, and the message I got back was this. There is less than a 0.6% chance of pregnancy during unprotected sex on a green day, including ejaculation, so it's not necessary to use withdrawal, barrier methods, etc. to avoid pregnancy on these days. Please remember that it is critically important for the reliability of your fertility calculations that you get a minimum of 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep immediately before your reading each day, so that your body can get to basal body temperature, and that you can take your reading immediately upon awakening, so that you capture that basal body temperature before it gets away. If your readings are taken correctly, then your fertility calculations, your red and green days, will be reliable. And then she says that we always suggest a barrier method or abstinence if one is trying to avoid pregnancy, especially during red and yellow days. So that's another thing that I love about using the Daysy, is that I feel like the responsibility is more shared between me and Dallin, my husband. I have to take my temperature every morning, and then he has to wear condoms on red and yellow days. You know, it's just more equal instead of all on my side, taking all the bad side effects. Next question, how long till I trusted the Daysy and kind of what my first month looked like? I trusted the Daysy from the very first green day I got. Let me scroll back and show you guys what my very first month looked like. I have heard though that when you're coming off of hormonal birth control to wait until your second period, because your first period off of hormonal birth control isn't a real period. It's kind of just like a breakthrough bleed type of thing. Okay, this is my first month. Oh, there you go. So this is August 2017. So I started mid-August, and then that's the September 2017. So that's what my first month looked like. So it really didn't take that long for the Daysy to start calculating my cycle. I mean, I had a few yellow days in the beginning, but not too many. Next question was about the routine of taking your temperature in the morning, if I had any tips for that, because I know that some people don't like having to do something every day, like taking a pill every day, taking your temperature every morning. It's really become a habit, so I don't have to think about it too much. Also, if it's right next to your phone and say your alarm goes off, it's right there. You go to turn your alarm off, grab the Daysy. It's that easy. But if you don't feel like that's something you can stick with, and you don't feel like you can handle the responsibility of taking your temperature first thing in the morning, every morning, then maybe this method isn't the best one for you. Okay, another question that I got a lot on the last video was about the amount of days that sperm can survive inside of your body, which is, I think it's like 5 days or maybe a little bit more. So people were concerned about if you had unprotected sex on a green infertile day and then the next day was a red day, that you would be fertile and then could get pregnant. But Daysy calculates for the days that sperm can survive in your body, so it will start giving you red days multiple days before you actually ovulate. Someone else asked me if I have had any pregnancy scares, which, I mean, I haven't really. I guess my period's been late, But anytime my period didn't come the day Daisy said it would, Daisy would just adjust like the next day. And the latest it ever was that Daisy had to adjust was for 6 days. But Daisy just kept adjusting and like was fine and nothing really changed. And I got my period. But when I first started out using the Daysy, I think I was more ready to use it because I was married, committed relationship, and if we were to get pregnant, it would still work out, it'd be fine. But I mean, after using it this long, it's already been a whole year and it's all worked great. So I trust it definitely a lot more now. Another question is about a lot of comments about how expensive it is. So the Daysy is $330 online. I bought mine when it was on sale on Groupon for about $270, which I know is expensive, but to me it's worth it. And yes, there are cheaper ways of using this method. Some people use paper and pen and buy their own basal body thermometer at the store. But for me, starting out on this, I wasn't super educated on it, and using the Daysy, it kind of does everything for you, and it's backed by algorithms and studies, so it kind of takes a little bit less of the pressure off of you and takes more of like the user error out of the situation. So that's why I chose the Daysy. But if you want to do your research more than I did, you could just use your own thermometer and calculate it all yourself. However, I would say to not just use a regular period tracker app. It's not the same thing as a period tracker. Another question was about when you get sick and you have a fever, if you should still take your temperature. You're not supposed to. When you have a high fever, just skip your temperature, which I think is fine, because if you have a high temperature and you're feeling sick, why are you having sex anyway, right? You should just be resting. So I think that's okay. Okay, so after all these questions, some of my suggestions are to read the book Taking Charge of Your Fertility. It has loads of information in there that you can learn tons about fertility awareness method. And I'll put a link down below where you can buy that. It's on Amazon. And then I'd also watch Femheads. It's a YouTuber that I love. She has tons of videos on fertility awareness method, but she has one on fertility awareness method most common like mistakes, so I'll link that video down below too. And then the last thing is that you should do your research and decide if this method is right for you and your lifestyle, if you can handle the responsibility of following the rules of Daysy, of like obeying the lights and being consistent with getting at least 3 to 4 hours of consecutive sleep, and then taking your temperature very first thing in the morning. So it's definitely a method that you need to be responsible for, and if you don't think that that's something you're up for, if you don't think you can stick to routine or can handle it, then this probably also isn't the best option for you. So just do your research and decide what's best for you. Okay, now I'm gonna have my husband come in and he's gonna share a little bit of his thoughts on the Daysy and his experience. So we'll see what he has to say. So guys, this is Dallin. This is my husband. He's never been on my channel before.
Never ever.
So, questions. Why were you okay to give this method a try?
I feel like the biggest reason I was okay with it is because you were okay with it. I trusted you.
Because I did some research.
I trust a lady with her lady parts.
That's a good answer. What are your thoughts about it now? Do you even think about it anymore? No?
No. It was pretty rough though when she was on other birth controls, because it was really taxing on her body, just like with the different chemical balances and stuff in her body.
Migraines and
migraines and
infections.
A lot of stuff came with it, yeah, and so it wasn't fun for her, and it wasn't fun for me because it wasn't fun for her.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she's healthy and happy is good.
Oh. Can you think of any more? Oh yeah, have you had any pregnancy scares?
There was one time in the past where it hadn't adjusted to her cycles and stuff all the way, and so it projected it was going to be a green day, and it wasn't
Till another week later?
Till like a week later. Like it said it was going to be a green day the next day, and the next day came and it was a red day still, and the next day and the next day and the next day.
Okay, yeah.
And we were both pretty nervous about it, yeah, in the beginning, and that's when she contacted them and asked, and they told her that sometimes it takes a while to adjust to your body and your cycle. So
at the beginning, I mean, Daisy's always guessing what you're going to be at. You can see way ahead what it's going to think you're going to be at. I'll show you guys. Okay, so this is this month. If I can get it up there. So as you can see, the ones that are like kind of colored, just in the circle, like those are reds, these are greens. Those are Daisy's predictions, which doesn't mean they're actually going to be correct. It's just kind of the prognosis. Yeah, so it guesses what you'll be at, and then once it gets more information and gets your temperatures, then she tells you what's up. Once it gives you the light that day, you can trust that day's light as long as you're following those rules.
Look at this guy.
Mana, how do you feel about the Daisy?
Ow.
He says, oh, it's great. Mama's nice and daddy nice.
He wants to be the only child forever.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, it's working. Well, look at the whole family. Okay, you trust it now?
Yeah.
Do you?
One, two, like if I don't want to go through the hassle of wearing a condom or something, like it's not like bad enough that I would want you to put like harmful things into your body and stuff like that to avoid it, you know?
They don't work in my body. My body does not like them. We've determined that. Oh gosh. Okay, well, okay guys, that is it for today's video. Sorry if it was a little bit crazy. There was a lot of information to go over, and if I missed anything, always leave comments down below, questions, concerns, and also leave any videos you'd like to see next down in the comments. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and never forget to subscribe because I upload every week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.